Before moving on to the weight painting, I suddenly remembered that I had forgotten something important to the skeleton. Turn all that off. Now, this is not necessary if you are using Mixamo exclusively for your animations. It does not make use of this particular addition I'm going to make, but the way I create the control rig for my skeleton, it is very important. So first things first, I'm going to have to create a new joint here that connects my legs to the hips, which, as you can see, is the top joint in the hierarchy. Everything's connected to this. So I need to have a joint that goes between these and this in the hierarchy, but it needs to be in the same location as my hips. So I'm going to start by press F. There we go. Going in here, I'm going to make sure I'm in rigging, skeleton. I'm going to create a joint. And for the time being, I'm just going to throw it in somewhere. The exact position doesn't really matter right now because I'm going to move it into place in a minute. Next, I'll grab my two leg joints, shift select my new joint and press P, and now they're connected to it instead. Select this, and I might as well name it while I'm at it. I'll name this hips override because it's going to override the main hips up here. And I'll shift select on my hips and press P again. And now you can see that it is not in the right place by a long shot, but it is in the right spot within the hierarchy. Now I can't just move this because that'll move the joints below it as well. But if I hold down the letter D on my keyboard, my handles here change. Let go, put it back on again. You can see they're different. And if I grab the little box on the inside, I can move it around without moving anything else. But I want to get this exactly onto this point right here, so I'm going to keep holding down D, and then I'm going to hold down V for vertex, and that lets me snap onto the joints. J does something else, so it's not J for joint, it's V for vertex. Don't ask me why that was picked, but it works. And now this is right there where the hips go. What that means is, if I turn my body back on, I can rotate my legs together like this and wiggle the hips without moving the rest of the body. If I were to select the root joint right here and try to rotate that one, it would rotate everything. So this allows me to control just the hips, but not the rest of the body. That's why it's the hips override. It overrides the hips that are already there and allows me to create extra animations with those. I also thought about and decided, you know what? Things like this and this and this and this and these, all these different things. Technically, I could have this move with the leg and this move with the leg. This, however, not so much. And these back here, not sure what I would do with those beyond maybe do some kind of fabric simulation on them. But if I don't have the option for doing that, or if I just want to be able to add more control to it, it might be a good idea if I put some joints into here and here and this. And honestly, it'd be even better if I had some on here because trying to rely entirely on the leg movement sometimes goes wrong. So I'm going to create new joints for those. I'll start with these. And I want to have something that's roughly in the middle. So maybe I'll start about where this strap up here is. Maybe I'll put something right about there. And because these don't move anywhere except where the connection between the different plates meet, I'm only going to have a joint at each of those intersections. There's another one down there, and then one at the end. Pull this over. Like that. Right down here on my keyboard, I can move to the next joint and pull this. Hard to select it. Oops. I think I pulled that out too far. And this looks like it's high enough. I should probably connect it to the original hips rather than the hips override. Hit P on that. P for parent. And now select hierarchy. There it is. Grab all these. And I'll call that L leg guard. And now I'll name each one of these L leg guard 1, 2, 3, etc. Skeleton. Mirror joints. So I change L to R and flip to the other side. And there it is. This one right here, I am going to do something on this, definitely. So go back to here and I will start. It doesn't make sense for it to bend from up here, because if I bent from up here, the top flap would just go through the armor. So I'm going to start where it touches the armor. And then where the next part is, the next part, and then the last end of it right there. So also be parented to the hips. Select hierarchy. What do I call that? Groin guard, maybe? Yep. This one could also probably control the middle part, at least, of the chainmail, but I might want to go ahead and put something over here, too, to control the two edges. Maybe something kind of like that. Well, maybe I'll hold down D and pull this one forward a little bit. Actually, no point worrying about that until I've got the entire thing positioned. So let me turn that back on. Yeah, now it's behind everything, so pull that forward. Select P for parent. Select hierarchy. This will be the left groin chainmail. Actually, you know what? Before I mirror these things over, just go on the safe side. I will make sure to, skeleton orient joints. Whenever you move them around like that, it's a good idea to orient the joints. So I might as well do that now rather than after I've mirrored it over, just in case. Makes a difference. Skeleton orient joints. There you are. Skeleton orient joints. And you can see this time it is following along the way it should. I might as well do the last bit here too on it. A little hard to see with all this. What's that? There we go. Now let's have one going down the middle of it. I'll start at the top. Actually, no, I think I will start just below the bolts. I can bring this over. There we go. Turn that. Select hierarchy. L chainmail. Skeleton orient joints. Can't remember if it matters whether or not I've got them all selected or not. I'm going to just check again. Select hierarchy. Skeleton orient joint. Good enough. All right. And now I can start mirroring them to the other side. Got to turn these off so I can actually see what I'm doing. There you go. Air joint. Hit G to do that again. G and G. Now, just because I've created these joints doesn't mean they're going to do anything. I have to actually make them affect the geometry. I select all of these and all of these. Bring the armor back and then shift click on the armor right here. Skin, add influences, add influence. And now they affect it. They do so perfectly. No, I'm going to have to paint the weights to make that work. Select these. Shift select that. Skin, add influences, add influence. I also want these to affect the chainmail. I guess it was, I thought there was the next one down there. 2, 3. Fabric. Just like that. Skin, edit influences, add influence. These should also have an effect on the little leather straps up here. And then is this one object or two? That's two. So let's do one side at a time. There. Now I can adjust those. I can never decide if I want to make this influence the objects or not, but I think I want my hips override to affect at least the pants. So I can make these parts here, the groin of the pants, move with it. I think it would make more sense for the rest of these parts up here to be attached to the original hips, so I'm going to leave those out of it. Skin, add influences, add influence. You know what? I can also tell it what I don't want to be influenced. So maybe now that these are being controlled by their own joints, I can say I don't want the legs to be influencing these anymore. I can remove the influence from those. Yeah. And now if I want them to move with the legs, I have to actually move them with the legs, or at least with their own joints. Make it look like they're moving with the legs. I'll have more control over it that way. It will mean more work, but getting things to work exactly right requires more work usually. All right. I'll call that good enough for now. Next video, I'll start fighting with my UVs for real this time.